Hey, this is Luke Simons with Salt Strong. Today we're going to be testing the Tauten Line Welder. I've been doing a lot of knot contests really these past couple years, and it was a while ago now. Somebody mentioned, to test this out to see what it's all about, see how strong it is, see how it works, and it really intrigued me. And so, really, what this is, if you haven't heard about it, this is a line welder where you can. It basically allows you to do your knots. It has a consistent result. This is the actual machine here. But the premise is that it allows you to have a maximum strength knot, is what they claim. Also, that it's very fast. And so we're going to test both those out in this video. And this is completely unbiased. We actually bought this, and I'm just going to just let the facts. I'll show you the facts, and then let you decide one way or the other if it's good or not, if it's worth the price. They are expensive. I think we paid $190 for it, and now it is on their website. It is $199. So it's gone up a little bit, but again, it's pretty expensive at least for tying knots. But I mean, if they're really strong knots, then it might be worth it. But anyhow, so what we'll do is I'll just show you what's involved first, and then afterwards I'll actually tie the knots with various lines. We mentioned that we had this. Some people said to do some fluorocarbon, so we have fluorocarbon. We have just traditional mono, 30-pound Berkeley big game. Then we have some braid, 15-pound braid, and let's see if it'll work with some bigger line as well. And we're going to tie direct, terminal knots as well as line to line. It doesn't advertise that it's line to line, but I think I can just kind of splice the two together, and we'll see if it works. And of course we're going to measure the strength, in addition to measuring how long it takes. So it's a lot of stuff, but again, there's a lot of facts that we really need to dig into to evaluate if this is a good product or not. And let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first we're going to cover what's in it, what came in the box. So here's the box. Again, just nice looking box, very professional. Here is the actual welder, and then obviously everything came into this little cartridge here. I'll just get that out of the way. Has some directions. I've read through it front and back, and I'll explain to you the most important stuff. Later, it has kind of a quick little assembly thing, caution, and it has some. It does recommend to really clean the line, so it gave some line cleaning clause. And here are the actual welders. So there's welding cartridges, and so they give you 3 to come with, and you're going to have to buy additional ones later. And how they work is that they fit inside of here. This front capsule opens, the welder's inside, and that is the material in here is what actually creates the knot, what does the weld. And so that's that. Last thing is they actually provided some mono. Looks like they have their own mono. And so I'm not going to use this mono for the test because I have to imagine most people already have their own line. So I'm going to be testing these different types of line. And so the last thing obviously is a charger. You obviously have to charge it up. So right now this puppy is charged, and we have at least, we should have at least 10 more, maybe 8 more welds on this cartridge. And let's get started. All right, so here's how it works. And the first line we're going to test is this is the Berkeley big game, 30-pound, very common line. And really you just thread the line through the hook. And I'll be using a circle hook for this example, just because I am going to break these at the end. And when it does, or if it does come flying, if it is not secure, as I hope it will be, I will have less likely a chance of getting hooked. So anyhow, I put the line through and hold the tag end, and you basically put the lines on each side of these knobs. You can see there's a knob here and another knob here. So put the lines on each side, and then we can hold that tight and then close the little top part here and then secure it. So now it's secure. Now it's a matter of just pushing this button. Let's go ahead and do it, and we'll time the ones later. So the flashing light means that it's going, and once it's done, it'll be a straight, it'll stop blinking. It'll just be a straight green light. And at that time, we can then undo it, and it's taken a decent while. Maybe the first one takes it a while to warm up. So again, we're going to do some more, and we'll actually time the entire process and compare that to an actual hand-tied knot. So it's making some more noises. It's doing something. Taking much longer than I thought it would. I think they said 40 to 45 seconds online. I feel like this is a good ways longer. I guess we can actually see it in the video. All right, so there, that means that the knot is done. So now we can just undo it, take the top off, and you can see here is that this is now a weld. And let me just hold it above the black so you can see what it looks like. So So again, it's basically a loop knot, and it's a pretty good size weld. I mean, this is a size, I think it's a 5/0 hook, and it's almost the length of a 5/0 hook. So that is certainly much longer than a typical knot. Let me just go ahead and tie a normal knot right now so you can see the difference. Let me find some scissors. Cut off the tag end. All right, so a normal knot, just tie it on the opposite end here. I'll just do an Orvis knot just so you can see the difference. And I'll just use this to test because this is a really simple knot. It's quick to tie, as you just saw. So there's the comparison in knot sizes. So very long weld on this side, and then that Orvis knot is just nice and small and compact. So this is the one I'll use. Again, the fact that it's so easy to tie and it's quick to tie, as you just saw. We'll use this in the actual strength analysis. So I'll go ahead and just clip this off. And so the strength analysis will be, I will just pull on this. I'll pull on each end, and I'll secure one end, pull on the other, and then whichever one breaks is the weakest link. So we'll know which one is strongest. So we'll go ahead and put this aside, and let's tie some more knots. So this next run, I'm going to time it. So let me just go ahead and thread it, and I'll just start the timer before I start securing the line to the welder. We'll keep it consistent. So I have it basically ready, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the timer, and then let's see how long this takes. So I'm going to again put this on there, down the hatch, secure it, time it. That was about as fast as I could do. So that we're now at 12 seconds. And then we gotta compare it to as soon as that green light stops, that's when it's done. And again, online, I think it said 40 to 45 seconds. I can't recall, but it was definitely in the 40s. And I felt like that first one was a bit longer. It's making some more noises. We just hit 40 seconds. At 45. That was right on 50. So 50 plus or minus. And then again, let's just pop it out. There's our knot. And then just cut off the tag end. So what is interesting, I guess they do allow time for it to cool down, because when I touch it, it is not hot. It's a little sticky, but not hot. All right, so now I'm going to tie myself. I'm going to be tying the Orvis knot, as I said before. It's just it's a very strong knot, and it's super easy to tie. So I'm going to go ahead and thread it just as I did before. So we really have the same starting point compared to the line welder. Let's go ahead and start it, and then start tying. And as you'll see, it's an easy knot. Just do a couple turns, one loop, and then 2 turns through the second loop, and then done. So that was under 10 seconds. I think it was 8 or so. And again, that's a strong knot, and we're going to compare the strength at the end. As I said before, this is all in the same line. We're going to pull on it, see which one breaks, and the weakest one will be the one that breaks. And online it said you can do braided as well, so I'm very curious to see this. We're just going to go ahead and do it. I'm not going to bother timing it or anything. It's the same exact thing. I'm just using a swivel in this case instead of the hook. So that's secure. Hit the button. All right, just finished. Let's go ahead and take it out and see how the braid looks. And there it is. So yeah, pretty cool. You can actually see the braided lines straight in there. All right, and so we mentioned that we had this, and a couple people mentioned a line-to-line connection to test that out. They actually don't specify line-to-line, but I have to assume if I just put one, I'm going to do a braid to a mono. So if I do a braid onto one side of it, and then the mono on the other, it should technically weld together. So let me just figure out how I can hold it. Oh, let me just go ahead and just give a lot of slack. So we'll just give a lot of slack out. I have the 2 in there, secured. All right, this should do it. I'm curious to see how this one turns out. Again, this I'm not going to test this. At least I won't evaluate them on this knot because they don't actually claim it anywhere that I saw. But I'm just curious to see how it does. All right, done. And so now we have ourselves, yeah, it looks like it worked, technically. So now we have, this is basically a line-to-line weld. All right, so right now we're tying a 10-pound test. I just finished this off there. The 60 was apparently too big for this thing, so I'm guessing it might be designed for lighter line. So we have now a 10-pound mono tied here with the knot with the weld, and then right below it on the same line, and actually as it was being welded, I just tied the Orvis knot. So we're going to test that out instead of the 60. So down here, here's just a look at all of them, so you can see just how they look. So here are all the welds. This is the 10-pound mono, the 20-pound fluoro, 30-pound mono, and then you can see the corresponding sizes of the Orvis knot on the other side. And I just want to do a test with braid. So it's right here tied to a swivel is the braid, and I'll just, before I test, I'll just tie another swivel onto here. And then a line-to-line knot. Somebody, multiple people requested this. So we have a 30-pound mono, I guess spliced or welded, if you will, to a 15-pound braid. And then I have that same braid tied to that same leader with an FG knot. And so we're going to test out, which ones of these are stronger for each one. All right, now it's time to break these knots, and just here's the assembly. I put this black board back here, so hopefully the knots show out. So we have the hook secured to an 80-pound mono to this railing, and then we have, obviously, this is the weld knot, the big one. Same line over to the Orvis knot, tied off to the other hook, and then the same exact type of 80-pound test going to a scale, and so I'm just going to be pulling on the scale, and I'll be looking at the recording, and then whichever knot is the weakest is going to break, and then once we break it, I'll put it back against this board so we can see exactly where the break occurred, and we can check it out. So let me put some glasses on. I hate doing these knot contests. I usually do them with swivels, and the fact that there are hooks potentially flying around, try to be a little safe doing this. So first of all, zero out the scale. Now I'm just going to go ahead and just pull on it and see when it breaks. So we're at 15, 16, 17, 20, and this is, by the way, this is the 30-pound mono. So hopefully we get 30 pounds of tension at least. Oop, that was just 22 as the last I saw. And so you can see the Orvis knot is intact. And so it was the loop that broke, and it looks like it actually broke. The line itself broke. So the weld held secure, which was nice, but the fact that the line was basically that loop had to carry all the pressure really made it so that this really small Orvis knot was the ultimate winner, because again it wraps directly around the hook, allowing for just a little bit more tension. So interesting. So first round goes to the Orvis knot. All right, so now we're going to do the 20-pound fluoro. Scale is zeroed out. Let me go ahead and get this chair out of the way, and I'll go ahead and pop this and see if we can't see what the breaking point is. So we're at 10 pounds. Wow, that was only 10 pounds of pressure. And yeah, so Orvis knot held again. It looks like this time, it looks like only one line is sitting out from that knot. Let's go check out the hook. Let me get the hook over here real quick. So it's just a bare hook, so nothing on the hook. So it looks like the break actually occurred right on the very top of the weld, and then it just straightened out. So interesting break there. All right, so now we have the 10-pound line loaded, and just one caveat though, the directions do specify to clean the line off with a little alcohol wipe. I did not do it on the other ones. I realized that, and so I redid this 10-pound test after wiping it off. So we'll see if that makes a difference. So again, the actual cleaned off 10-pound line with the weld against the Orvis knot on that same 10-pound test. Let's zero out the scale, and let's see what happens. So I'm just going to go slow here. So 4 or 5 pounds of strength, 6. We got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Wow, so that was 14. And wow, so it won. So it actually beat the Orvis on the very light line. And that is impressive. So you can see here a clean break on the Orvis that it literally just disintegrated. It's not on either side. And so that's impressive. All right, so now we're going to load up the braid. This is 15-pound braid. We have the weld on this side. This is the actual uni knot over here on this. So we're going to see how this works. Zeroed out scale. Let's see how it breaks. So we're at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So that was just over 19 pounds, and yeah, it looks like the uni knot won. So, and again, this is a single strand, so this is the top of the weld. A single strand is coming out, and I believe it was about this much of space. So it looks like this one completely slid out. And if it was lighter out, I guess if we look real close, yeah, we can now see that there's now only one strand of line inside that weld. You might not be able to see, it's kind of dark, but so this line literally slid right out of there, and that was the cause of the break. Okay, so now we have loaded. This is the line-to-line test. This is actually the one that I was really most curious about, because this is the knot that a lot of people struggle with. This is going from a braided main line to a mono leader, and this mono fluoro, very, very important knot for saltwater anglers, because most people use a light braid to a heavier leader. Light braid for casting distance, and a heavy leader to just withstand the business end of the fish. So anyhow, we got the weld against the FG knot, and so let's go ahead and test it out. This is 15-pound braid, 30-pound leader, and let's see how it does. So we're going up, so we're at 8 pounds, 9, 10, 11, so 11 pounds. Let's see which one broke. So FG knot is still there, still intact. So it was it looks like the braid just slipped right out. So if we look back over here to the hook, we can see that the braid simply just slipped right out. And I think that was around 12 pounds, which is nowhere near the breaking strength of this FG knot. So if you're doing braid to leader, I would highly recommend doing a knot like the FG knot versus trying to weld it together. And again, this was something that the company did not advertise. It was just me just being curious. So I'm not going to hold that against them. I just wanted to see how it worked. All right, so in conclusion, we just finished up the test, and really everything was focused on the two parameters that they specify, and one is time, second is strength. And I believe we proved conclusively across all the boards is that the time factor is worse with the welder. It's it's 50 seconds. I think it was 50 seconds plus or minus. Whereas just that the Orvis knot that I tied, which is one of many knots that are very easy to tie and strong, is it took under 10 seconds. So that's a very big difference. And as far as strength, the only one that won, the only weld that won, was this one on the 10-pound test, on the very light line. Whereas many of us saltwater anglers, it is very rare that we would use a 10-pound leader with the amount of saltwater fish that have teeth. And so given that, for saltwater anglers, and as long as you can tie a knot, I would recommend just learning a good knot. And the Orvis knot would be one. The Palomar, there's a lot of easy knots. The Orvis is, I would say, one that you can tie very easily, or the uni knot you can tie and use it for a lot of different applications. And so I would recommend that above the welding. But if you cannot tie knots for whatever reason, then this is a good option, right? Because we saw, at least, especially on the light line, all you did was you just had to put the line in there, pop it down, and wait. And so assuming you do that, let's go over the cost on how much it costs to do that, because it is expensive. This tool itself was, again, I think it was a 180 something when we bought it, and now online it's 190. And the interesting thing, though, is that when you get it, you get these three little, these are the welding little devices. So inside of this is the material that actually welds the line together. Each capsule, let's see, let me get the math right. So a box of 3 costs $12, meaning that each capsule is $4. So these are $4 each for each of these. And each of these little capsules can weld 12 knots. So that comes out to a cost of 33 cents per knot. But if you buy a bulk of them, I think they sell a box of 3, so you can get 12 of them for $36. When you do that, that takes it to about 25 cents per knot. So that's the math behind it. Again, if you do get the tool, you're spending about $190, or I think it was $199, plus a minimum of 25 cents per knot based on the actual cartridge and how much it costs versus how much it welds. So that's it. That's the math. That is the full. All we can think of that you might have questions on. If you have any questions at all about this product or any of the knots I tied, you can leave a comment down below. And if you do have questions about knots, about what knots, if you do want to tie your own knots and you need help finding the strongest one for a particular connection, I've done a lot of analysis on this. I like doing it. And so I'll put a link down below where you can actually see all the contests I've done for different types of line connections. And that way you can see what has scored the best for each specific connection. So thank you so much for watching. We hope to see you again soon.
There's something about the water that'll give you peace, all by yourself or with your family. Live salt strong and weld a